All right, David, you second it?
Yeah.
Susan?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yeah.
Linda's absent. Chris?
Yeah.
Shelby, yes. Kim?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I need to do a budget amendment as well, please.
All right, go ahead.
Motion to amend the Augusta Township 3/31/2025 budget, increasing general fund contract services IT expense by $7,800 for BlackRock Technologies onboard fee and increased cost of IT monthly charges.
Second.
Susan?
Yes.
David?
Yeah.
Debbie?
Yeah.
Linda's absent. Chris?
Yeah.
Shelby, yes. Kim?
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
15 hours, you're on the clock.
Okay. Approve resolution 2411 for 80,000 ARPA fund.
So do you
Okay,
want?
yeah, so before we get into the resolutions, we have Mike DeVries, our engineer on this project here, and he's just gonna speak a little bit of where we're at. He passed out pictures. We already had one meeting with the planning commission, so Mike can speak to that. And then after that, I'd like to talk about a couple small housekeeping things, and if the members of our committee, I see Fran here, is Wayne here?
Wait.
And, okay, so Fran is here, and if she wants to say something, and then we'll get into the
Did you have it researched?
resolutions.
There is a federal law that third-party people are supposed to be holding our records. We're not supposed to be holding them.
Oh,
And I told you, have Vic look that up.
all right. All right. Let them finish this, and then we get into discussion. We'll bring it up. Okay.
Well, we don't wanna, about to break the law.
All right.
Okay, short and sweet, I heard tonight. So, as Susan said, yes, we were at the planning commission at the last meeting and presented our concept plan. There was some talk about in regards to the driveway and would it be shared, or how it lays out right now is the road commission does not allow, or will not allow a second drive on there. So the original plan that was approved for the fire station showing an expanded area for another building on there only had one drive, and that's what they said we had to use. So that's the site plan that we have submitted, working with the fire department, with Dave, the chief, to talk to the road commission a little bit more about potentially getting a second drive. And then we came up with a concept to have a dedicated drive now that we put on the east property line. And that would be to access the utility storage building and the water access, so that there'd be no interaction between the fire department worry or any future use that might go in there with the existing drive that goes in. So I'm still working with, like I said, with the road commission, trying to finalize how the drive's gonna go in there. But that's where we're at right now. Plans are working forward. Drain commissioner, we've had our meeting with them, and they're on board with the concept that we've had, verified the calculations, and there'll be a little expansion to the pond because it wasn't sized for everything, like everyone thought. So, but that's where we're at right now. So preliminary kind of approvals from the drain commissioner and the road commission, but still working with the fire department and potentially to get a second access in there. But road commission's got their heels stuck in a little bit, so a second access off of Whitaker most likely will not happen. So other than that, the handout that I passed out shows the three options for the driveways. The one on the upper left is the way that was drawn for the original site plan that was approved. That original site plan for the fire station is actually on the back of that page I handed out as well. So you can see how it only had one drive and a called out future building. And then on the front side, the middle exhibit on the top shows what we had hoped for a second drive location. And then the upper right is the gravel drive for the utility building. So,
Can you just touch on, since there's been so much questions about a future township hall, and that we were asked by the planning commission about having room for that, and just to be clear about that to everybody
Yes.
about that.
to be clear, what you see on the back of that plan was what was planned for the fire station with what was called the township hall at the time. The exhibits, may they be small, on the front illustrate how the storage building fits with its ring road around, so that people can come in, get their water, circle, and go back out. Which way they come in and go out is a different, we haven't finalized that yet, but you can see that all three buildings do fit on the site. So the planning commission did ask for more of what would be more of a master plan. So we have a site on there that shows for a 5,000 square foot building, the associated parking that we looked at for the other township building was 17 required spaces, so that's what we have shown on there. There is ability to put a few more depending on if need be, we could look at going into a one-way drive, which I kind of like that idea anyway, so that we could save some more space, shave some off, and add some more parking if need be. But it meets the code, and all three buildings and uses fit on the site. I think that's it. Any questions from the board or me? Or Susan, do you want to add anything more? Or?
I think that was it, just to clarify that.
Okay. So moving forward, next step is preliminary site plan review from the planning commission, and then final site plan approved after we have the road commission and the drain commissioner's preliminary engineering review, and then we'll go to site plan, final site plan through both the road commission and drain commission, and then ultimately, if everything moves forward, pull a building permit on that and start building. Oh, one last thing, the renderings that I put on there are preliminary. I just kind of found an online 3D to draw showing the three doors that we were thinking, and my master Photoshop for the roadway view. That's just preliminary.
Thank you.
So, I just want to add a couple things. We now have a tab on our website, so I think it's under, there might be something boards and committees. I know there's something in committees. So the Township Hall Committee is now on our website. Right now, we just have the members listed on there, David's and mine emails, so if you need to email us. And after tonight, we're gonna start putting all our final documents that we have so far. So that would include even the work that we've done in the previous 2 years and the money that we spent, preparing to do this. And then also anything that comes forth, with these resolutions or anything like that. So we're trying to be very transparent. We want to make all the information accessible to everybody. So I just want to make people aware that we are putting this on our website.
Excuse me, Susan. When we voted for improvements down there at the Township Hall, we didn't vote for any of this. This has been taken way out of line, way out.
It has been, voted on.
So, the second thing that I want to mention is that we have a committee. We have 3 residents, and I hope that I'm going to ask Spring if she has anything to add tonight, but I really want to impress that this is a community effort. We have board members on the team, but we also have residents. We take into consideration feedback we get from residents, and we hope that you will email us. And we are trying to be very transparent and to do what we're telling you that we want to do. So
For 2 years, you've been doing this, and you're
So,
trying to say that you're
Fran-
Wait, let her
transparent.
finish, let her finish first.
Fran, do you wanna,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Fran, do you wanna make any comments as one of our resident, committee members?
I gotta come to the mic. I think I talk loud enough. So, just to piggyback off of what Mike said, if you look on the back of that paper that he gave you, that was the original drawing that the fire department submitted when they built the fire department. And as you can see on their drawing, they only had the one driveway, which is the same driveway that we had planned to reuse until we thought that we could add that second driveway. Now, if the road commission says that we can't add the driveway, it's not us saying that we don't want the driveway or want to make it safer. It's the road commission saying that they won't allow that driveway. So that third option, which is coming around the back of Judd Road, which would be gravel, would be the only other option. But I want you to take a look at what was originally planned by the fire department years ago. It fits right into line with what we were going with. And to kind of give a reference to that, I understand that the fire trucks will be coming and people will be, oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. And people will be coming back and forth to get water, but also the size of the road of Rawsonville Road at 50 miles an hour with two-way traffic, you kind of got to give and take there. I don't think that the first plan of the one road will need much, but we wanted to provide you with options, so you have those options. I'm not sure if there were any questions. I heard something, but now I gotta remember what it was that I heard. That was back on the back for that. My partner Wayne is not here, and he was asked to give some type of information about emergency notification systems. I do only have the emails that we went back and forth on, and what he did find was that Washtenaw County will allow us to use their system, and it will cost us nothing. I don't remember all of the details, but I do know that if we use it, there has to be a trained person in order to use that system. And then that creates an entire another job and a whole thing in that. So he did come back with that information. Otherwise, I'll remember. Otherwise, there is the Everbridge system that they are using, which we can all sign up with for free. He wrote instructions, but I didn't know he wasn't gonna be here, so I didn't bring them. We'll post that under our tab, showing everybody how to sign up for Everbridge. You can sign up for Washtenaw, any other county, and you can choose if you want the traffic alerts. It's all in there that will give you a startup for those kind of things. And am I missing anything? Anybody got a question? Can I take a question?
We did talk about the updated siren.
The updated sirens. No, I did not. Thank you. So there is a siren on the old building that will need to be moved or reconstructed, or however that goes. One of the things that I've been working on is looking for grant money to add more sirens. Once we got a list of the sirens around the township, we see that we are basically empty on the top side, and we're only covered around the border because of the other cities that have sirens. So I'm looking at grants. I've asked a couple of the residents if they would help me, because I found two. I'm sorry, they are not all grants, but I found two that are grants, but I've asked two residents, just through social media that were talking about it, if they would help me with getting those together so that we can get more notification sirens around the township, because we are very lacking on those.
That's it? Thank you very much.
She wanted to know
Oh, I'm
something.
sorry.
Can I answer her question? Is that
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think in me waiting, you kind of answered it. So the emergency system isn't to alert people that the fire departments are coming out of those driveways. It's to alert us in severe weather or.
Weather siren.
Yes,
Okay.
I talked, that was
I was thinking
actually
different
different systems, I'm sorry, that
That's
was
okay.
my fault, I didn't communicate that properly. The sirens that are on the pole are the weather ones that give you the tornado warnings and that kind of thing, and they mostly use them for that. Every now and then, they'll use them for another weather or mass event. The Everbridge system that you can use, you can go in and choose weather, traffic, just updates on everything going on within, the county or some of Wayne County and stuff that touches too. So you can even choose if you work like in Wayne County to get those alerts so that you know leaving from and going to what's going on in other areas.
And is that free for people to just sign up?
Yes, that's completely free. Yes, ma'am.
I think the other thing that might need to be cleared up, because I think there was I know there was a misunderstanding at the planning commission when they were discussing that the fire station, the old fire station needed to be demolished because it's inhabitable. The new building was gonna be put on the new site, and when they moved it, and the water dispenser was gonna be moved, and the siren would be moved on site. Some of us thought moved on site meant it was going to where the new fire station is. It's actually remaining on site where the old township hall, where the current township hall still is. And I think that needs to be corrected.
Thank you. I think you clarified it, but I'll repeat what you just said. When the old fire station is demolished, the weather siren that's there will be reinstalled in that section. It will not be moved down to the new fire station area.
Right.
Yes, sir?
I was at the planning commission meeting too, and it seemed like the fire chief was very apprehensive with this about people coming in with old trailers that are overweighted, they're gonna break down, and it's a possibility that it's gonna be blocking the trucks or the emergency crews getting out. He said he watches a lot of those, they're old ancient trailers that they're breaking all the time, and I think everybody should really talk to him and get his input before you guys do anything.
Well, as the fire chief was at the planning commission meeting and he spoke up for himself, you're correct. That was his thinking of it. But again, if you look at the back of that paper, that is what the fire chief submitted when they originally built the new fire station with that driveway. The next thing is, people are getting water down on Talladay and, was it Whitaker? Right now. And my question to you is, he's concerned with people breaking down. That's why we create emergency plans. But the question is, how many people have broken down right now on Whitaker and caused some kind of backup?
Well,
I
just meant for the emergency crews when they're pulling in and out of the bays and stuff. But what if that trailer's sitting there and you can't move it? You need a big tow truck to come and somebody's house is burning down.
And unfortunately, that's one of the what-ifs that we need to plan for.
Yeah.
In the event that that does
That would
happen,
be
we need
good.
to have a plan in place to move that vehicle out of the way. I'm sure that we can work that into an emergency plan, something that we have operationally set so that we can meet all of those kinds of needs, not just a breaking down truck, but even when the fire trucks start up to move out. We all know that when we see lights, that we're supposed to move and we're supposed to stop. And I think that's one of the things that we may be missing. They have an emergency, those lights go off. Whether you getting your water, coming or going, you now stop until they do everything that they're doing. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? That was my time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay.
Sure. David?
I'd like to add too, one thing we forgot about on this already in this figures here is, and since we're talking about safety, running lights up and this and that, the parking lot at the existing township hall is going to be restructured. There will be no more backing out into the road. It will be a pull in and a pull out new parking lot put in over there, and that will make things a little safer too.
Along with that, I think the coolest thing that has come out of this so far is that what Fran talked about with the weather stations is when we examined the map and we talked about with the county to relocate or where it needed to be situated, and they said, yes, it needed to stay right there. We were able to see the map and we saw our coverage and more accurately our non-coverage of the township. And if you look at the surrounding townships in Ann Arbor, whatever, they place those weather sirens so they overlap because they go a mile, I believe, in rate and distance. So our township is very sorely lacking in weather sirens. I know I don't hear it at my house, and I'm down near Bunton and Judd, so I don't hear the fire station sirens. So that kind of uncovered that, if it's an issue, that uncovered that as we're working through this and we're working through our plan, that we saw that, and that's something the board can consider later on, how we can maybe get that in place to get our whole township covered with the weather sirens, and maybe get some grants for that to pay for it. So that was a good thing. So anyway, I'm ready to read the resolutions. This first one is one that we talked about at last board meeting for $80,000. This is the same one, it's just that it needs to be put in, to appropriate the ARPA funds, we need to put these in resolutions, so when Kim reports to the state about using ARPA funds, this is what they have to use to submit, so that's why we're doing these resolutions. Okay. This is resolution number 24-11, draft resolution to designate and appropriate $80,000 in Augusta Township initiatives of ARPA funds. Meetings of a, I'll get started on here, David. That's a lot. Whereas on March 11th, 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, was signed into law by the President. Section 9901 of ARPA amended Title 6 of the Social Security Act to add Section 602, which was established the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund, in Section 603, which established the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, together the Fiscal Recovery Funds. The Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds was established to provide support to local governments, recipients, to respond to the impacts of COVID-19 on communities, residents, and businesses. And whereas Section 602C 1A and 603C1A of the Social Security Act establish that residents may use funds to respond to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19 or its negative economic impacts, which including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, or to aid impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. The interim final rule established 3 categories within the eligible use. 1, public health responses for those impacted by the pandemic, including the general public. 2, responses to the negative economic impacts that were experienced by those impacted as a result of the pandemic. And 3, additional services either as a public health response or a response to the negative economic impacts of the pandemic or disproportionately impact communities. Whereas Augusta Charter Township has been notified by the Department of the Treasury of ARPA funding in the amount of $764,625.51 payable in 2 tranches. The Charter Township of Augusta is in receipt of $764,625.51 and whereas $88,890.91 has already been allocated by separate resolution, leaving a remaining $675,734.60 in unallocated funds. And whereas Augusta Charter Township Board of Trustees chooses to use $80,000 of the awarded ARPA funds for the architecture, design, and blueprint plans for the Augusta Township Hall Storage Building at 10093 Whitaker Road, that will leave a balance of $595,734.60. Now, therefore be it further resolved by the Board of Trustees of Augusta Charter Township, $80,000 is appropriated for the architecture, design, and blueprint plans for the Augusta Township Hall Storage Facility at 10093 Whitaker Road from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, Fund 287, in accordance with federal guidance for expenditures that are reasonably necessary for its intended use in the reasonable judgment of the government officials responsible for spending said fund payments. Okay. So I make a motion to approve draft resolution 2411 to designate $80,000 of ARPA funds for the architecture, design, and blueprint plans for the Augusta Township Hall Storage Building at 10093 Whitaker Road.
Second.
Call the vote. I'm calling the vote.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Kim,
Yes.
Shelby, no. Susan,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Debbie,
No,
Chris,
No.
Linda's absent.
It says everything the same except for just read that now therefore be it resolved.
So what do I read?
Just the now, you just say the resolution number, and then you can just read the now therefore be it resolved.
Oh, okay.
It's the same.
Okay. So this is resolution number 2412. The resolution to designate and appropriate $367,000 in Augusta Township initiatives of ARPA funds. Now, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Augusta Charter Township, $367,000 is appropriated for the construction budget of the Augusta Township Hall Storage Facility at 10093 Whitaker Road from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Fund 287, in accordance with federal guidance for expenditures that are reasonably necessary for its intended use in the reasonable judgment of the government officials responsible for spending said fund payments. Oh, okay. Motion to approve draft resolution 2412 to designate $367,000 of ARPA funds for the architecture, design, and blueprint plans for that.
That's gonna be for the
Oh,
construction.
whoops, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're making me wing it here. For the construction of the Augusta Township Hall Storage Building at 10093 Whitaker Road.
I'll second.
Okay.
Calling the vote. Kim,
Yes.
Shelby, no. Susan,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Chris,
No.
Debbie,
no,
Linda's absent. Approved budget amendment FY 2024 through 2025.
We're gonna skip that. Yeah, so we're gonna skip that one.
Skip.
Okay, H, proposed ordinance violations bureau. Vic, since you wrote this, if you could speak to it.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. It was, I was requested to, if there was a way to.
Hey, Vic, come up to the mic. Vic, come up to the
Use
mic.
please.
I was requested to, if there was a way that. She can't hear you. That the
I'll
township
go up to the other
is on.
one.
That mic will not be.
Is on.
You're good.
Oh, he's got to go now.
Okay, all right.
Not used to being in front of a mic. So I was requested to see if there was a way that somehow the township could retain some of its fines and costs in relation to some of the enforcement actions. And of course, there is a way, and that way is to establish a municipal civil infractions bureau at the township, similar to what a parking bureau would be for a municipality. And what this ordinance does is it takes the prior municipal civil infractions ordinance and adds the provisions to establish a bureau for purposes of receiving fines and costs if someone is responsible for a violation and comes in and basically pleads responsible to it. So it is a, you'll have to establish, somebody to operate the bureau, basically, but it's doesn't have to be anything too complicated. You have to keep records, but it is again, you know, you have an ordinance enforcement officer. If they issue citations, actually not citations, but notice of violations on the correct form, the municipal civil infraction notice of violation form, then rather than file it with the court, they have an opportunity to come in and pay the fines and costs of the township. The township gets to retain all of those fines and costs. If they don't come in and take care of it, then the next step is to issue a citation, probably, and that will be dealt with in the court. And even when they're in the courts, you are entitled to receive some of the fines and costs returned when the court collects them.
So do we have any idea, Brian, how much is owed to us right now through the court system?
No, I don't know that at all.
And also in here, there are fees, the money and fee schedule.
Yes.
We don't usually put that in an ordinance because you would have to rewrite the ordinance every time that changed. So we would do that in a separate resolution.
You can do that in a separate
Yeah.
resolution. It does need to be, I mean, there's a legal question related to that too. You know, for a lot of things, you do put the fee schedule into the resolution, but.
Well, like our cemetery one, we
Right.
didn't, that's how we usually do it, is we do a separate resolution to set the fees. And so that way, when, if you do need to change them for whatever reason, you would just change the resolution instead of.
These are fines and costs, okay? They're not necessarily fees per se, okay? So
Okay.
they are a little different, okay? And there is an argument that those types of fines need to be stated in the ordinance, okay? But typically what we can do is we can put them into the ordinance and put a range, okay, of fines and costs. And then you can establish by resolution what the specific fines and costs will be within that range, okay, at the violations bureau. So if you'd rather do it that way, I can revise this ordinance to take the fines and costs out, but then you just have to make sure you adopt some type of a resolution.
Yeah.
Basically, what I would do is I would just again, put a range of fines and costs versus have the specific fines and costs.
Yeah, do that and bring it back.
And also, get it to me, because we need to give it a number and everything, and prepare for the first reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could do it that way. I mean, you can still have a first reading today, and then I can come back, I can make those changes to it. And you could,
Well, I'm not sure what number,
okay,
yeah.
well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I'll just go back and revise it and resubmit.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Discussing the garbage pickup, Susan.
So, I wanted to put this on the agenda because we've kind of had a long history of garbage pickup in the township, and it started with, Brian was